They thought they had buried you, shoveled dirt onto your name, spat venom into the winds, and grinned as they watched the world forget you. But they never understood. Some graves aren't a resting place. Some graves are tunnels. And while they toasted to your downfall, you were clawing, bleeding, carving your way through the darkness, whispering to the worms and the soil, "Not yet." You see, hatred is a double-edged blade, and they held it by the wrong end. They laughed, convinced that their schemes had sent you to rot. But every ounce of betrayal, every whispered slander, every back turned in cowardice, they weren't burying you. No, they were forging you. Pressure doesn't crush the unbreakable. It turns coal into diamonds. It turns rage into a firestorm. And oh, what a storm you have become. They will say it was a mistake, that they never meant to push you so far, that they were only playing the game. But here's the thing about games. When you rig them too hard, when you stack the deck against the wrong player, you don't just lose, you get erased. They thought they were the architects of your end. Now they are just spectators to their own undoing. Watch them now, wide-eyed, whispering your name in hushed terror. The same lips that spat your demise now tremble in prayer, begging the universe to undo what they set in motion. But no deity, no fate, no twisted hand of luck can reverse what's already begun. You don't rise from the ashes to forgive. You don't crawl out of your grave to shake hands. No, no, no. You rise to reign, and reign you shall. The air is different now, heavier, tense. They feel it, don't they? The weight of their own sins pressing against their lungs. The past is no longer in the past. It walks among them, cloaked in your silence, veiled in your return. They flinch at shadows, hear your voice in the wind, sense your presence in empty rooms. Because they know what's coming. And it isn't mercy. Let them run. Let them scramble like insects scurrying from the light. It won't matter. They can't escape the fate they carved with their own hands. You gave them a choice once, to stand with you, to build with you, to walk beside you. They chose betrayal. They chose deceit. And now they will choke on their own choices. There is no need for screaming. No need for loud declarations or hollow threats. Power doesn't need to announce itself. It is felt. It is feared. And you are the embodiment of every nightmare they never prepared for. A reckoning wrapped in flesh. A storm with a pulse. Their hands shake now, not from the cold, but from the reality settling into their bones. They thought you were gone. But you were never gone. You were waiting, watching, growing. And now that you are here, now that the dirt has fallen away, the real lesson begins. Because power, real power, is not taken. It is reclaimed. They whisper among themselves, desperately seeking a way out. A loophole, a miracle. But miracles are for the innocent. And innocence is a currency they spent long ago. Every debt must be paid. Every cut must be felt. They wanted to see you broken? Let them see the masterpiece their cruelty created instead. And it is a masterpiece, isn't it? The way you stand now, unshaken, unwavering, the very thing they feared you'd become. They wanted to strip you of dignity, to smear your name into the mud, to cast you into oblivion. But you used their own treachery as the foundation of your empire. You didn't just survive, you transcended. You turned their whispers into your war cry, their doubts into your drive, their hate into the weapon that now rests at your side. Look at them, grasping for excuses, stumbling over apologies that are years too late. If only they had known, But that's the problem, isn't it? They never did. They thought you were weak because you were kind. They mistook your silence for submission. They never realized that even a candle can become an inferno if you let the wind fan its flames. But this isn't a fire they can contain. This isn't something they can douse with shallow remorse or feigned humility. No, this is something else entirely. This is the reckoning they wrote with their own hands. And the ink? It's their own blood. The tables have turned, and now they sit where they once forced you to kneel. Every smirk they wore, every cruel word they spat, every knife they plunged, it all echoes back to them, a choir of their own destruction. How poetic, how fitting, that the same hands that pushed you down are now the ones trembling in fear. Let them tremble. Let them feel the weight of every betrayal, every wound, every scar they laughed at. This isn't about vengeance anymore. It's about justice. And justice has a way of finding those who think they can escape it. Now, the game is different. Now, it's their turn to watch as you rise, unchained, unstoppable, undeniable. Their greatest fear isn't your wrath, it's your success, because it proves them wrong. It strips them of their power. It leaves them with nothing but the hollow shell of their own failure. They dug your grave. But you built your throne from the ruins they left behind. They watch in horror, shackled by their own dread, as you ascend from the ruins they once celebrated. They had cast their stones, built their pyres, laughed as they set the world ablaze with their deceit. But fire, oh, fire does not consume the one who has become it. You are not the remnants of their malice. You are the inferno they cannot extinguish, the force they cannot reckon with, the shadow that walks in broad daylight, indifferent to their pleas. They whisper among themselves, broken voices scratching at the edges of desperation. What went wrong? Where did their control slip? But there is no answer that can soothe their panic. The reckoning they carved with their own hands is here, and they have no weapons left to wield, no ground left to stand on. It is a cruel twist of fate, is it not? That the very destruction they plotted for you has found its way back home. Poetic, inevitable, merciless. Their faces, ah, what a sight. Eyes wide, breath shallow, backs pressed against walls that will not save them. The arrogance they once cloaked themselves in has been stripped away, thread by thread, until nothing remains but raw, trembling vulnerability. They are exposed, naked in their regret, drowning in the weight of the realization that they cannot undo what they set in motion. The same world they turned against you now watches them with disgust, with indifference, with the same cold detachment they once reserved for you. It is delicious, the irony of it all. They never imagined this moment, never foresaw the day when their laughter would turn to silence, their triumph to terror. And yet, here they stand, mere spectators to the rise of the one they sought to bury. The ground beneath them is unsteady, crumbling beneath the weight of their own misdeeds, and the more they scramble, the deeper they sink. It is a spectacle, a grand unveiling of poetic justice in its purest form, where every action finds its equal and opposite reckoning. But you? Oh, you stand unwavering, a monument of defiance, a testament to resilience they never understood. They had mistaken your patience for surrender, your silence for weakness. But you had been watching, waiting, allowing them to weave the very noose they now struggle against. Every betrayal they orchestrated, every scheme they hatched. It all led here, to this moment, to the unraveling of everything they thought was certain. And now, with nowhere left to run, they must face the consequences in their full, unrelenting weight. They call your name now, voices laced with false humility, with trembling remorse. They reach for redemption, desperate to rewrite the past. But history does not erase itself for the comfort of the guilty. The past is carved in stone, unmoved by apologies that come only when the noose tightens. And oh, how it tightens. Every breath they draw is laced with the fear they once imposed upon you. The predator's gaze is now their own reflection, the abyss they pushed you into now gaping at their feet. They see it now, the inescapable, unbearable truth. There is no turning back. Watch them squirm, watch them plead. Their downfall is not an act of vengeance. It is simply the weight of consequence settling into its rightful place. You did not chase this moment. They delivered it to you on a silver platter, wrapped in their own arrogance, sealed with their own deception. And now, they are drowning in the aftermath of their own cruelty, gasping for salvation that will never come. The tides have shifted, and the very hands that once held the whip now tremble in helpless surrender. They are powerless, exposed before the very fate they forged. You do not need to raise a hand. You do not need to utter a threat. Your presence alone is enough. The empire they sought to deny you now stands tall, unshaken, built brick by brick from the very ruins they left in their wake. You are the storm that reshaped the landscape, the force that defied every attempt to erase you. They watch, helpless, as you step into the throne they swore you would never touch. And as you ascend, they sink further, lost in the wreckage of their own creation. And that is the greatest punishment of all. Not wrath, not retribution, but power. Power in its purest form. Power that does not waver, does not seek validation, does not bow to the unworthy. They had believed they were architects, masters of the game. But the game was never theirs to control. They were merely pieces on the board. And now, the king has risen. Their dominion was built on illusions, on sand. And you, oh, you have shown them what true dominion looks like. Their silence is deafening, their defeat absolute. And as they stare at the future they tried to steal from you, they understand, far too late, that they never had the power they believed themselves to wield. It was always you. It was always you. And now, they are nothing but remnants of a past that no longer holds weight in the world you now command. You do not need to look back, for the past no longer chains you. You walk forward, leaving them to fade into the abyss, swallowed by the insignificance they so desperately tried to escape. They stand frozen in the aftermath of their own undoing, staring into the abyss they once dragged you toward. The weight of their choices presses upon them, suffocating, inescapable. They had carved your tombstone with eager hands, poured dirt over your name with triumphant grins. But now, oh now, they are the ones buried, gasping beneath the avalanche of their miscalculations. The hands that once pointed in mockery now tremble, empty, clawing at the remnants of an empire that crumbled the moment you rose from the ashes. They had scripted your demise, penned the final chapter of your story without your consent. Yet here you stand, the ink of their lies washed away, the narrative rewritten in the blood of their regret. Every whispered scheme, every blade thrust into your back, it all led to this reckoning, and they know it. They know it in the way their voices falter, in the way their bodies shrink into the corners of irrelevance, in the way their eyes dart toward any escape that no longer exists. You do not gloat. You do not revel in their despair. What is victory to a storm? What is conquest to a force of nature? You do not need their suffering. You do not crave their destruction. But fate is not so kind. It does not forget. It does not forgive. And now they are trapped in a cage of their own making, surrounded by the very darkness they once cast upon you. Their screams go unheard. Their apologies dissolve into nothingness. They wanted to see you crawl. Instead, they watch you reign. Oh, how the tables have turned. The empire they tried to deny you now stretches beyond their reach, a kingdom built from the bones of their deception. Their voices once dictated the rules of this game, but the board has been flipped, the pieces scattered. You no longer play by their design. You create the design itself. The power they fought to keep from you now courses through your veins, unshackled, undeniable. And that, oh that, is their greatest agony. They fall to their knees, not in reverence, not in admiration, but in desperation. Their fingers grasp at your shadow. Their lips tremble with prayers to a God they refuse to believe in until this very moment. But mercy is a currency they can no longer afford. The debt they owe cannot be paid with regret. They had their chance. They laughed when you bled. They rejoiced when you fell. And now, with nothing left to trade, they find themselves bankrupt, cast into oblivion by the very fate they authored for you. The world does not weep for them. The audience they once entertained has turned its back. The stage they stood upon has collapsed beneath them. No applause, no encore, just silence, just the unbearable truth that they were never as powerful as they believed. Their reign was a borrowed illusion, a fragile mirage that dissolved the moment you walked through the fire unscathed. And now, they are ghosts of their own making, whispers in a world that no longer listens. And you walk forward, untouched by their downfall, unbothered by their sorrow. The throne they swore you would never claim is now yours, not by theft, not by force, but by inevitability. The story was never theirs to control. It was always yours. It was always leading here. And as they watch, helpless, hopeless, hollow, they finally understand what they never could before. You were never the one who needed saving. You were the storm they should have never provoked. But let them tremble, let them cower in the ruins of their arrogance. They are left only with echoes of their own cruelty, trapped in a cycle of torment they cannot escape. Every bridge they burned, every hand they swatted away, every deceitful smile they flashed. It all returns to them now, a merciless tide swallowing them whole. You, on the other hand, are weightless. Every burden they placed upon your shoulders has turned to dust. Every scar they left upon you is now a mark of resilience, a testament to the fire you endured and the empire you built from the embers. And in the cold quiet of their despair, they hear it, the sound of your ascent, the unstoppable march of a ruler unchained. They whisper your name, but not in mockery, not in defiance. No, now it is spoken with hushed horror, with the fearful reverence of those who realize too late that they have made an enemy beyond their comprehension. They dug your grave with glee, but in their arrogance, they forgot one simple truth. The earth does not bury those who are destined to reign. So stand tall. Let the crown settle upon your head, like it was always meant to be there. Let them watch. Let them suffer. Let them drown in the agony of knowing that you have become the very thing they swore you never could be. And as they fade into irrelevance, as the weight of their own sins crushes them beyond repair, you rise. Not out of vengeance, not out of spite, but because it was always your destiny to stand above them. And that, more than anything, is what breaks them the most. Yet, beyond their shattered existence, beyond the wreckage of their failed schemes, you find something else: clarity. The fire that once consumed you has tempered into something unshakable, a force not of destruction, but of absolute certainty. The world they tried to control bends now to your will, not because you demand it, but because it recognizes what they never could. Strength is not in cruelty. It is not in deception, nor in dominance. True strength is in rising, in enduring, in refusing to break even when the weight of the world seeks to crush you. And that is why they lost. Not because you sought revenge, not because you sought power, but because they underestimated the will of one who refused to be erased. And now, as the sun rises upon the ruins of their empire, you do not linger. Their fall is not your triumph. Your triumph is in the path ahead, in the limitless expanse of a world unchained. You leave them behind, their cries lost in the wind, their regret swallowed by the abyss they once called home. Because you have won, not by their destruction, but by your survival, by your rise, by the undeniable, unstoppable truth that no matter how deep they tried to bury you, you were always meant to ascend. And ascend you shall.